Hey guys, welcome to The Strong Young Man. Online dating, including Instagram, has meant that dating is no longer a local pursuit. Anyone can connect with a person across the globe in an instant. Unfortunately, this globalised dating marketplace has resulted in a revolution of intersexual dynamics, which has caused the following 6 effects. Effect number 1. Most women are not happy dating average guys. High-value men are presented to women constantly on social media apps, and this has given women a warped perception of just how many high-value men are actually out there. Remember from episode 7 that females are hypergamous. The woman will seek the best candidate from the pool of men that are available to her. Because of the high rate of exposure to high-value men online, women are not happy with the men that are available to them in their social circles, so they turn to the digital realm to satisfy their hypergamy. This online form of dating expands a woman's options to areas outside her locale. The problem this causes for most men is that they are now in a larger competition, even for average women. The woman who has her pick of 1 in 1,000 men will be 100 times more selective than a woman who has her pick of 1 in 10 men, because all they need is one man to satisfy her hypergamy. This economic principle of supply and demand is the same principle that drives the stock market or any other market, not just the dating market. If the available quantity of any commodity increases with a fixed demand, the value of that commodity decreases to maintain equilibrium. More options mean that the same supply of men appear less attractive, and so women become more selective. Women now have an extreme abundance mindset, and because they sexually select, it has created so much scarcity for most men. The bottom 80% of men are competing for the bottom 22% of women, and the top 78% of women are competing for the top 20% of men. This is the genesis of why more and more young men are remaining virgins for longer, because all women feel entitled to a top-tier man, not just in their social circles, but across the state. Effect number 2, the incel community. Incel is a contraption of the words involuntary celibate. Single men under 30 are reporting the lowest levels of sexual frequency that they have ever had since the sexual revolution in the 1960s. The majority of virgins are now young men, not young women, with 27% of all men under 30 virgins. The young men who feel shut off of any possibility for romance have formed a community based around mourning their celibacy, supporting each other, and in some cases, stoking a culture of impotent bitterness and rage at the wider world. In a few cases, this rage has spilled over in the form of terrorist attacks, which have targeted the people that remind incels of their own insecurities. Elliot Rodger and Alec Manassian are 2 examples of this in the last decade. Effect number 3, increased consumption of online porn. With no sexual access to women in the real world, incels themselves have turned to the digital realm to fulfill their innate sexual strategy of unmetered access to unlimited women. Porn also buffers against rejection because it allows men to stay at home and explore all their sexual fantasies online with no risk of rejection or ridicule. This has caused more women to capitalise on the marginalisation of male sexual frequency by offering up their body to the deprived for a financial exchange. Sites like OnlyFans have taken off because they satisfy the suppressed male sexual drive on a more realistic level than porn. This has created a vicious cycle that has made more and more men just opt out of dating altogether in favour of a gluttonous consumption of porn. Effect number 4, high-value men have unmetered sexual access. With all the women chasing after the high-value men, these top-tier men are the only men that are able to satisfy their sexual strategy of unmetered access to unlimited women. This strategy is able to be satisfied to a level that only a few men across history have ever been able to do previously. Essentially, all the sexual access that was previously accessible to the average man has been funneled into a small minority of high-value men across a broader region. Over the last 30 years, the Pareto distribution has been modified to have a larger tail index, taking it from 80-20 to 95-5. In the same way all women are able to connect across other social circles, high-value men are also able to connect with any woman they want across other social circles. Effect number 5, high-value men's value has increased. The flow-on effect from this is that high-value men find a woman worthy of a long-term commitment easier, removing him from the high-quality pool of men offering an exclusive long-term commitment. Note that this does not necessarily mean that this man has been removed from the sexual marketplace. A man with a value high enough may choose to exercise his sexual options outside his marriage, and due to his scarcity, his woman may tolerate this because high-value men are so marginalised. Some of these high-value men may just opt out of long-term commitment altogether in favour of an endless series of sexcapades. In any case, this decreases the quantity of high-value men that are available for women to marry. This increased scarcity of high-value men has meant that these men's value has increased even more. Going back to our economic principle of supply and demand, as the supply of a commodity decreases, the value increases for a fixed demand. In this instance, we're talking the commodity of high-value men. I'd also argue that the demand for high-value men has simultaneously increased, further increasing the value of the high-value man. With more and more women brainwashed by feminism, there are more single women than ever who believe they are entitled to a high-value man. Women at increasing rates are witnessing high-value men either exit the sexual marketplace with one woman or play the sexual marketplace to their advantage by never committing to one woman. The effect this is having is that women must make one of the following three choices. 1. A woman must share a high-value man. A woman may reluctantly share a high-value man if it means they are able to satisfy their hypergamy. Remember from episode 113 that if you bring enough value, you have the power to dictate the terms of that relationship to a larger degree. Most men are only as faithful as their options. 2. A woman may settle for a low-value man. A woman may reluctantly accept that she must settle for a low-value man of a caliber low enough to ensure that he has no other sexual options and must remain faithful to her. The balance of power of the relationship is closer to even, and thus she can dictate more of the terms. Ironically, this does not evoke the same level of arousal as option 1, and women are increasingly not choosing this option. 3. A woman may choose neither of these options, which leads to effect number 6. Effect number 6. More women will die alone. If a woman can't take the good with the bad of either of options 1 or 2, then the third option is that she will never find a guy for a long-term commitment. Women have an increased sense of entitlement these days due to absent fathers and poor parenting. Combine that with the feminist propaganda that brainwashes women to hold off on marriage for their Prince Charming. Women are told that Prince Charming will be waiting for them and will be ready for them when they are. This brainwashing causes them to become entitled, and this entitlement leads them to believe that they are entitled to a high-value man without bringing any significant value to the relationship themselves. This entitlement is actually an attitude problem, which inherently repulses high-value men, and so these women will not be able to secure the high-value man they believe they are entitled to anyway. In an article written by Morgan Stanley titled The Rise of the She Economy, Morgan Stanley forecasts 45% of prime working age US women ages 25 to 44 will be single by 2030. This is the largest share in history, marking a significant regression for humanity. I predict that other first world countries will be trending in a similar direction. Women are also not having children at an increased rate and are set to die alone in increasing numbers, which is a great tragedy. If this trend continues, without people shining a light on this obvious problem, then dark times are on the horizon for women. After a long enough period of effect number 6, then I predict that intersexual dynamics will return to equilibrium. When we sustain a prolonged period of any extreme, we almost always see things return to their natural state. Maybe women will start to become so desperate to secure any man just to prevent a lonely life. Maybe they'll take whoever they can get. Maybe there'll be a massive shift back to religion. Like I mentioned, history moves in cycles, and there are historical examples of something like this happening before. Let's rewind back 2,800 years ago to Jerusalem to illustrate the disgrace of a woman who ages without the love and support of a man. The context is a time where all the young women of Jerusalem were arrogant, materialistic, and promiscuous, not all that different from 2023. The book of Isaiah, chapter 4, verse 1. In that day 7 women will take hold of one man and say, "We will eat our own food and provide our own clothes, only let us be called by your last name. Take away our disgrace." A woman without a husband during this time had no identity and could not pass on her genes, which was a disgrace on them. Today feminism is leading women down a similar path. It may get to the point that a woman becomes so arrogant, materialistic, and promiscuous that no men will want to commit to them. More and more women are getting to 40, single, and childless, which comes with its own judgment. The book of Isaiah serves to illustrate that dark times are on the horizon for women and society in general if all men opt out of dating women because they are too haughty. This could lead a woman to not even desiring a man's resources, only needing him to take away her disgrace. Unfortunately, there isn't too much we can do to stop this from happening. The social force is too powerful for any one individual to change the whole sexual marketplace. If left alone, eventually things will return to homeostasis. For now, as men, you must learn how to play this situation to your advantage. The best thing that you can do is to understand what is happening. Once you understand what is going on, you can increase your chances of being sexually selected by adapting to your changing environment. According to Charles Darwin, it is not the strongest that survive, but it's the ones that adapt best and fastest to their changing environment. To ensure you unlock access to a wide variety of sexuality, you need to become a high-value man yourself. If you can't beat them, join them. Don't waste your time complaining or chasing women because this is repulsive. Level up and you'll have access to the high-quality women that other high-value men have access to. Great value brings you great power and influence across the board. Acquiring value through your success will also provide you with intrinsic happiness. You'll earn the respect of other men for the contribution you make to society. A man must become to be respected. Women don't care about the struggles that men go through. They hang out at the finish line and fuck the winners. Richard Cooper. I'm not saying that you'll never have sexual access if you don't become a high-value man, but you'll lose the ability to attract quality women on an abundant level. As you hit 30, you will most likely attract a woman on a rapid decline, seeking to exit the sexual marketplace, disappointed with her selection, but forced to settle because she's running out of time. Become a high-value man to ensure you have the power to navigate around this potential catastrophe. Another thing to consider as a rational man is other ways in which you can leverage this to your advantage. Where there is a powerful psychological desire that is unattainable, there is going to be a thriving market for a business. Investing in or starting businesses that sells the dream to women allows them relief from their problem or allows them to solve this problem can be a money-making machine. This includes investing in cat food or boxed wine companies, investing in beauty-related products or any other product that allows women to delay their sexual decline, business ideas that allow women to delay their reproductive shutdown, such as fertility clinics and egg freezing, matchmaking businesses that help people to connect with each other, or workshops that teach women how to attract their ideal man. Finally, given the divide in the sexual marketplace, you must also see how you could use this to your reproductive advantage to satisfy your biological urge to reproduce. Unmetered access to unlimited sexuality only serves its biological function if it results in proliferation of your genes. This can become a financial liability, especially for high-value men. Fortunately, there is another way around this. With more and more women in their 30s, single, childless, and unable to settle down with the man they believe they are entitled to, women in the coming years will be increasingly turning to IVF and sperm donations to have children, and the demand for Caucasian offspring is fucking huge. As a man trying to satisfy his biological urge to reproduce in quantities that will ensure my offspring survives, I've dropped billions of gametes off to sperm banks across the country. Unfortunately, Australia limits the number of offspring that you can sire to 10 to ensure genetic variety, so I'll be doing this in other countries over the coming years as I build up my citizenship portfolio. If you are game, there is also a massive black market for sperm donors because using a sperm donor through a clinic costs thousands of dollars. This market is largely unregulated, and so if you go down this path, there is the chance that you become financially liable for these offspring. On the other hand, if you take the regulated approach, the mothers of your children are 100% financially liable for raising your offspring. Isn't this the most alpha adaptation to the change in the sexual marketplace? This is the epitome of using this to your advantage, and it is something you should seriously consider if you've opted out of women altogether. The final thing worth mentioning is that for all of human history, only a small minority of men have been able to successfully reproduce. This graph shows that 8,000 years ago, just after the advent of agriculture, 17 women reproduced for every one man. Geneticists determine this by analysing the Y chromosome of human DNA inherited exclusively from male ancestors and the mitochondrial DNA inherited exclusively from female ancestors. By analysing and comparing the diversity, scientists are able to deduce the numbers of female and male ancestors a population has, and we have always had more female ancestors. It's only been in recent times that it has trended towards parity, but it never got there, and now it's heading back in the other direction. Thanks for watching today's episode. In episode 134, I'll go over why growing old is good. Subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified when it drops. Catch you then.